We are in a powerful healing portal today for the twins where courage is about to meet that karma and healing is no longer going to be optional. It's going to become destined. Seven of Pentacles today for you, Divine Masculine. And so I do feel he is standing at the edge of his own becoming, questioning what is really worth his energy. And he's probably reevaluating what is actually quietly draining his fire and his life force energy. Is he going to choose patience or is he going to choose purpose? Divine Feminine, Knight of Wands for you today. And I do feel there is a wild flame stirring within you. Are you ready to dare to break free from all of the old soul contracts connected to fear and guilt? Are you ready to ride the current of your own liberation, or are you going to burn trying to control it? Because the overall outcome is the Hierophant card as the combined energies. And so this connection really is being initiated into a very sacred lesson today. We do have Mars in a trine to Chiron, and I do feel both of the twins are preparing to ground in to that new divine embodiment of this spiritual contract where they both chose this before birth. And so I do feel here something is about to rise up that's been hidden below the surface. And the choice really is no longer about union. It's about truth. And the rest of the message is waiting for you. So are you ready to dive in to today's breakdown for the Twin Flame Collective? If you're ready, hit that like button and let's jump right over to the rest of the reading. Hey, welcome in. Welcome back, everybody. It is Laura, and we are going to talk about the astrological transit breakdown for today, for Tuesday, June the 10th. How is everybody feeling after all of the energy shifts that took place yesterday? I don't know about the rest of you, but I spent the day in bed. I always feel these planets when they ingress very deeply, and with Jupiter ingressing into Cancer in my 4th house. Boy, oh boy, did I stick close to home yesterday, especially with all of the squares with Mercury, Saturn, Neptune, Venus, and Pluto. My energy body was feeling it. And so today we have Mars in Leo in a trine to Chiron in Aries. You're going to see it right there up on the screen. And so really, this is a very powerful healing portal. Trines for me always indicate a healing portal, and this is a healing portal connected to confidence. It's a confidence boosting aspect. And I do want to mention I am a Mars in Leo, and I'm currently going through a Mars return because I'm a late degree Mars in Leo. So I'm also feeling these shifts pretty prominently today. And so you think of Mars. Mars is the planet of action. It's our desires, our willpower. It is the divine masculine drive, and it is moving through this very bold, expressive energy of Leo. It is this ignition of creative courage and possibly even romantic pursuits. But Mars in Leo is leadership energy. As you can see up on the screen, Mars is currently sitting in the 5th house of Leo. And we've got that 5th house in Leo sitting at exactly 13 degrees. A very significant energy of transformation, death, rebirth. We do have Mars sitting at 26-degree orb 5, bringing forward the energy of the Page of Wands along with the Hierophant. And we do see Chiron sitting there in the 12th house of Pisces at 16 degrees 30. So there's like a tower energy connected to a false foundation, because I see the tower and the 4 of Wands there. And so you think of foundations. The foundation of our home could be the foundation of a belief. It could also be the foundation of our body, which is why my physical body has been resting. There's been this deep alchemizing process going on for me. And with the trine between Mars and Chiron in Aries today, Chiron being that wounded healer in the sign of identity, is really creating a harmonious flow, a portal of energy where we have the ability to alchemize all of our past wounds related to self-worth, right? Related to self-worth, visibility, and of course, that Leo courage. And so today really is a day where that deep inner healing can happen. Maybe you're being called to assert yourself and assert your self-expression. This is all about finding creative courage and honoring your truth. So dancing, creating, declaring, embodying that fire, because this is a very fiery trine. And because we do have Chiron sitting in a water house, it is a lot of alchemy going on, right? I feel this dynamic yet spiritually restorative energy with Chiron sitting in that 12th house of Pisces. And so bravery, it takes a lot of courage and bravery to be seen despite all of the wounding. So let's really break down these house placements because there's symbolism there, right? Especially with Mars in Leo sitting in that 5th house. The 5th house is the house of romance. It's our inner child. It's the joy of the inner child. It's our creativity. It's our passion. And with Mars sitting in that 5th house, I do feel it is stirring up a very intense desire for pleasure, love, recognition, maybe even a little bit of performance energy there. But this is that seeking to be validated energy. And with Chiron and Aries sitting in that 12th house, there is deep subconscious wounding, bringing the collective forward into this healing related to identity, right? Or abandonment, or where we don't feel we should assert ourselves. So all of this is going to be bubbling up. And in the trine to Mars, this is creating a harmonious aspect where we can release and redeem. The 12th house also does speak to karma. It is the house of the subconscious mind. It is also the house, I want to say, of hidden enemies. And oftentimes we can be our own worst enemy on the awakening path. But it also does speak to past lives, our karmic pain, our karmic path, and our spiritual contracts. The 12th house is everything beyond the veil and receiving that light and receiving that healing. And we do also have Mars, I want to point out, in a square to Uranus in Taurus. And Taurus is sitting in that 1st house of Taurus. And so this kind of adds a rebellious, unstable layer to this trine aspect for healing. And so you might be feeling agitated, you might be feeling electrified, or you might just be feeling a little bit triggered because squares create tension. And I do feel there's tension between how you want to be seen and maybe fear of destabilization, because Uranus is calling us all to break free of this old conditioning in order to claim back our authentic embodiment. And so we do see the 1st house sitting in Taurus at 5 degrees 45. There's that mirror image, 545. And it is the energy of the Hierophant with the 5 of Cups. And so there could be an old belief here holding you back from actually claiming that authentic embodiment. So the collective message today for the twins basically is saying this is a moment of healing masculine wounds connected to courage, where we need to pursue something and being creatively visible. And so I do feel both of the twins are confronting this energy because we all have an inner masculine wound. I feel that we need to confront, connected to fears of being seen or fears even of being rejected for who we truly are. And with Chiron opening up that gateway, this is where we find and kind of ground in our heart-centered confidence. And the square to Uranus is shaking up any false masks or any false ego defenses. And so there's going to be a lot of past life themes surfacing, especially since we are going into the full moon in Sagittarius tomorrow, which carries with it this energy of judgment. These energies this week are not playing around at all. And so get ready to face ego wounding or that karmic fear of visibility, and really take note of where you have put yourself into a state of spiritual isolation, because we have a chance today to rewrite that inner script that we tell ourselves, particularly related to how love is expressed, right? And how connection is actually pursued. And so there could be sudden emotional or intuitive downloads. There could be triggers that help release shame or guilt around desire. And I just want to touch base on the downloads. So like I said, I spent most of the day in bed Monday in and out of meditative states and astral travel, and the downloads and the messages were loud. And so I needed to be in that very isolated state in order to receive those messages. So I do feel these downloads are showing us how to release the triggers connected to shame or guilt, especially around our desires and going after them, right? And so there could be romantic tension, but this is going to allow us to seek that resolution. And so there is like this urge energy to act creatively, right? I have this urge to act and to create, but physically I am exhausted with all of the transmutation that I've been going through, all of the healing that I've been going through. And so the divine masculine energy healing theme with today's transit really is connected to wounded masculine expression and creative assertion. And so being the ruler, Mars, right, is the divine masculine principle. That's the key planet here in this transit. And as it does trine Chiron, the wounded healer, the divine masculine is being invited to reclaim his courage, to pursue what it is that they really love, right? And to not let these old wounds of shame or possibly inadequacy or their ego to stop them, right? And when I say ego, I don't say that in a negative connotation. We all have an ego, and we all need our ego to get out of bed, right? We need it to find our drive to do things. And so I do feel there's an activation in this transit where the masculine needs to break free from any inauthentic roles that he has played, right? And I do feel a lot of the divine masculines are receiving those deep emotional insights surfacing from the subconscious of that 12th house energy. And this is the push, right? The push for the divine masculine to express their true desires, whether it's through art or action or even possibly direct communication. And the Mars square Uranus energy, which will be exact, I believe, later this week on the weekend. I think it's going to be exact on, on Sunday. It will be exact on Sunday. These energies are building. So there is a feeling of a little bit of restlessness, possibly volatility, or maybe it's just rebellious energy around identity and image. And so expect out of the blue actions or declarations. There could be an emotional outburst, however you're resonating with these messages. And so the integration message for the divine masculine really is for them to learn how to channel all of this fire into that intentional creation, right? Instead of reactive anger. And we all have anger, and we all do need to experience the range of all of our emotions, right? But I do feel this is a moment where the divine masculine is being asked to allow his heart to guide his expression, not that wounded ego, and to sit with the feelings, right? We all have feelings of unworthiness, and we need to sit with those without suppressing them. And so divine feminine energy, your healing theme is trusting the masculine energy. You not only need to trust the masculine energy within, but you also have to trust the masculine energy without. And so when you integrate the masculine polarity within you and you witness it, and you integrate it within, it will be mirrored externally in the divine masculine. And so this trine is providing a mirror, I want to say, for the divine feminine to explore, where maybe you have internalized your own fear of your own fire, owning your fire or your passion or your boldness. And for you, I do feel there could be a past life subconscious wound around abandonment or being pursued or possibly betrayal. And there's a deepening of the heart chakra, a deeper opening of the heart chakra, I feel, for the feminine, in order to soften you to receive that true masculine expression without judgment or fear. And so the 12th house activation for the feminine might feel very spiritual or intuitive through dreams or sudden memories, or there could be an energetic shift that could occur, highlighting where control really needs to be surrendered so you can restore your faith. And so the integration tip for you, I feel, divine feminine, is to journal. Journal about any dreams or flashbacks. And because I feel those hold those hidden keys within. And you've really got to integrate releasing control of how union should look, how it should unfold, and trust that that fire within you is also awakening. And the last thing I really want to stress is offer forgiveness to the past versions of yourself, to the past versions of the masculine collective where maybe they failed to show up fully. because we're all learning, we're all growing, we're all healing. And so really, this is a healing portal for creative expression today. That's key. So like I said, dance, paint, write, sing your truth, breath work, movement, a meditation, mindful meditation can really help transmute any fiery or anxious energy if you're feeling that. And remember, you are safe to fully be seen. And any wounds that we go into really is the gateway to owning our creative power. So honor that sacred fire within you and everybody that carries that sacred fire. So let's go a little bit further with the cards. If you are curious about learning more about your birth chart, if you're new to astrology, if you're new to the channel, welcome in. I do have a free guide to the 15 basics of your birth chart. If you would like to learn more about your birth chart, just comment down below free guide and I will send you the link to download the free guide to understanding the basics of your birth chart. I also do have a twin flame ebook. It's a 22-page ebook if you are curious about the journey, the stages and the phases, and how to master it like a pro and really understand that it's not just about romance. It is about mission work. Then comment twin flame book down below. But let's see what the cards have to say today for the Twin Flame Collective. Let's jump right in and let's break these cards down. The first card out is for the Divine Masculine. I am using the Crystal Medicine Oracle deck, and we did get the card of Self-Mastery. I love it. So this is kind of the energy of spider medicine. It is connected to the crystal topaz, and so I do feel this really is connected to that energy of Mars in Leo in the 5th house for that divine masculine energy, especially in that trine to Chiron with the 12th house. So I do sort of have this feeling that this is the wound or the theme surfacing for healing for the divine masculine. And so there's a gift here, there's a treasure here, right? So I do feel there could be this energy of the divine masculine being confronted with the realization that true mastery is born through conscious creation, never through control, right? And with Mars and Leo, this is empowering the divine masculine to reclaim his fire and to take that inspired action. But with that trine to Chiron in the 12th house, I do feel it is suggesting that this activation is likely going to be triggered by some past pain, especially where he has felt powerless or creatively blocked or even possibly rejected for shining his light a little too brightly. And so the spider medicine is urging him to see his life as a web of intentional threads. We are never a victim of our circumstances, right? We do co-create every single thing that we go through. We are the co-creators of our reality. And so the divine masculine is being asked to move from passivity or overcompensation into that sacred embodied confidence. And so ask yourself, divine masculine, for a healing prompt. Where have you surrendered your power to fear? And how can you begin weaving your life from the center of your truth? Sit with that today, okay? I do also want to mention it is connected to the Ace of Wands. It is a card 27, and so there's a passion, a new beginning here, awakening for the divine masculine collective. Divine feminine, we did receive the soul retrieval card for you. There is a very powerful completion frequency here. It is connected to 29, which is the analytic degree in astrology, which is the closing of a cycle. And so we've gone through a lot of completion frequencies recently, especially yesterday with the ingress of Jupiter into Cancer. And so you are connected to the middle world medicine with this card. And there is the crystal connection to Galena. And so I do feel this is the subconscious emotion or the karmic insight that is being integrated for you, divine feminine. And so you pretty much, it feels like you are in the final stages of retrieving those soul aspects lost through trauma, sacrifice, and spiritual suppression. I know I've been going through that retrieval process very intensely the last several days. And so the middle world medicine is grounding you into the here and now. That really is how we anchor in this multidimensional self into that embodiment of divine feminine. And so you're likely releasing past lifetimes or even ancestral stories where your sovereignty was fragmented and where you gave too much, okay? And so because this is paired with galena, a very dense, protective mineral stone, it is suggesting that you are reclaiming your authority over your body, your voice, and your purpose. And so with the Mars square to Uranus, you may have recently been shaken to the core with a foundation, but I do feel there's something here being dislodged, connected to energetic debris that has really kept you in a karmic pattern of repetition. So ask yourself, divine feminine, what parts of you are ready to come back home to self? What patterns are you finally choosing to complete in this healing portal today? Because the combined energies is the dance card, and that just fits so perfectly with the mindful movement meditation that I suggested closing off the astrology. It's a 9 card. 9s do indicate completion. It is connected to the hermit vibration, I feel, and that south node in Virgo, right? And so we do get the rattle medicine, and we do get boulder opal for a crystal medicine. And so I do feel this is the collective lesson being harmonized with this trine portal today. And so the connection really is shedding these old, outdated Virgo South Node dynamics of overthinking, perfectionism, hypercriticism, and of course, martyrdom. The rattle medicine, I feel, is here to disrupt, like to rattle something, to rattle and disrupt the pattern, to shake something loose connected to stagnant routines, mental mind loops, or energetic debris that has really blocked authentic movement forward. And so really what I'm feeling here is that with the mirror of the hermit archetype, we're learning to rejoin the dance of life. There is definitely a transition happening from isolation and inner healing to that expressive movement with intuitive rhythm and that co-creation. And the boulder opal crystal softens the emotional field in order to restore the joy frequency, reminding both of the counterparts that this connection is meant to be embodied and it's never meant to be micromanaged. And so this is the message I feel, the union message. Let go of any rules that you wrote in fear, because beginning again this time is going to be with rhythm and without all of that restraint, okay? So let's talk about the hidden energies on the bottom of the deck. I love it. I love it. We got the Grandmother Crystal Diva Medicine, and we did get the Crystal Blessings card. And so whenever any grandmother card comes out, I always feel a deep connection to my own grandmother who crossed over in 2016. And so it is an 8 card. And so there is a hint of the Mars and Leo strength archetype coming through. Ancestral healing for sure is very loud. And it is connected to the Cathedral Library stone. And so there is an underlying blessing here, or a supportive force beyond the veil, is how I read this, okay? And so there's a gentle heart-led power here, and the presence of a grandmother, which I feel is really confirming that this transit is being divinely overseen by ancestral wisdom or a crossed over loved one. There's matriarchal protection here in the energies today, and there's definitely cosmic guardianship coming through. And so this really is a sacred moment for the twins of generational release and calling in that blessing. So while the healing at times can feel very intense, especially with the Mars square Uranus energy, this is also very much soul-sanctioned healing. The Cathedral Library energy does speak of the libraries of the soul knowledge being reactivated, okay? So the twins are here to unlock the memories, to unlock the mission, and to unlock all of these energetic fields that we have buried to survive past lifetimes of separation. And so the hidden truth in all of this is saying you are not alone in this twin flame journey. We are all in this journey together. There is a whole twin flame collective connected. It is bigger than just you and the other person. There is a whole collective of us that is connected, okay? And so we are all guided, and you are reminded that we are infinitely blessed on this journey, whether it feels like that or not, okay? So let's break down the tarot, but I just want to remind you, while we confront our fears of unworthiness and we step into that inspired action, that is how we ground in all of our multidimensional soul fragments, right? Because we are completing ancestral cycles separately before coming into union. And so really, ultimately, behind the veil, we have a lot of ancient guardians that help us restore these light codes for our mission, reminding us that our strength is to be gentle. Our power is here as a blessing. And reunion is always going to be sacredly, divinely timed, okay? So let's talk about the tarot cards. I kind of shortened the reading a bit today, and I only pulled 3 cards for the divine masculine, feminine, and the combined energy. But I feel this is a big theme of reclaiming inner authority and healing through that soul-aligned action. And so let's talk about the first card that came out for the divine masculine, the 7 of Pentacles. And this is the bold truth, or the desire I feel that needs to be expressed. And so there is almost like a reevaluating of maybe what he's been investing his energy in. And I do think this is connected to the square to Uranus and Taurus. But I do feel this is especially connected to terms of relationships, right? Reevaluating relationships, creativity, and his life path. And I do feel with the Leo 5th house energy, this is his desires to be seen as a content creator, as a spiritual leader, as a worthy contributor to new earth energies. And so the truth surfacing, I feel, is possibly that the divine masculine really does want to leave a legacy of love, not just temporary passion. He is craving that purpose-driven creation. There could be fears here that might be holding him back, but I don't think those fears are enough to hold him back, because this really is a loud message of he's ready to cultivate something real. And I think he's getting really honest with himself about what seeds he wants to plant in this next cycle. The next card out, the Knight of Swords in reversed. I do feel this is likely connected to that subconscious wound being triggered. And I think this does deeply reflect that fear of being misunderstood or not being taken seriously, especially when he expresses his truth. And so there could have been times where the masculine felt punished or ashamed for speaking his mind, especially with Chiron transiting the 12th house. There could be a lot of old shadows of rejection or rash action or a failure to protect maybe what mattered coming to the surface right now, resurfacing now. I do feel he's also learning that his words do carry power, but so does silence, right? And so if he was silenced, I do feel there's a freezing energy a little bit, where maybe he's afraid his truth won't actually land where it needs to land properly. and he's afraid of being blocked. The Nine of Swords was the last card out for the Divine Masculine today, and this is the breaking free from limitation with the Uranus square. This is the mental prison, right, that we all put ourselves into with the limiting beliefs. This could be anxiety. This could be unconscious fears that keep him looping in a state of indecision. And I do feel there's a jolt energy here, an awakening jolt, in order for the masculine to reclaim his sovereignty of thought, to choose courage over confusion, and to embody that new identity, right? Because let's face it, the journey is a big mirror, and we can never run from ourselves. It really is time to awaken and to act, I feel. So Divine Feminine, the first card out for you today is the 10 of Pentacles in reversed. This is legacy, right? This definitely is a card of legacy. And I do feel this is the spiritual insight or the soul dream that is guiding your path. You are being guided to surrender all of these outdated ideals connected to your family, connected to success, and connected to belonging, right? Oftentimes we get looped back into societal expectations or family expectations, and that can be a big part of the separation journey because we inherit these expectations in our subconscious programming, and it does connect to our worth and the legacy energy. And so there's a releasing. Maybe you're dreaming of a new foundation, a future that's going to honor your wildness, your wisdom, and not that programmed family obligation, because you do not have to carry that legacy that wounded you, Divine Feminine. You are free to dream a new legacy. Knight of Wands, the central energy for you today is that hidden fear, I feel, or that self-sabotage pattern that you need to heal. So maybe you've been conditioned to believe that passion is unstable, or that moving quickly towards desire is recklessness. And let me tell you, at times, it most certainly can be reckless. I was having a conversation the other day with my mother, and I said, I want something calm. I want something peaceful. I don't want something super passionate. I want something where I'm not going to be required to jump through hoops. And so I do feel this is a card asking you to forgive yourself for times where maybe you moved too fast and you got burned because you moved too quickly, or maybe you moved out too quickly. You are definitely, though, being guided to reclaim your fire without shame. And your flame is sacred, right? You have a sacred flame here, and it can guide you back home. So remember that, okay? Because the last card out for you is the Six of Pentacles. This is how you are being called to receive while honoring your fire. And so it almost looks like a Two of Cups on the card. And we see the teapot pouring down drip by drip, and there's a man sitting on the teapot. And so I feel there's a balance here of feminine receptivity and empowered action. I think you are finally learning to ask for support. And maybe you're learning how to receive compliments without shame, or to rest without guilt. That was a big one for me as a Virgo moon and Saturn in Virgo. I've got a Virgo stellium all in my 7th house. Oh, the guilt I would feel resting. And I rested without guilt yesterday until my mom showed up to give me a hand, and then the guilt washed over me. That's a family pattern, by the way. But anyway, there is a gentle healing moment for you, Divine Feminine, to allow courage and compassion to exist simultaneously, I feel. So receive because you are worthy. You are allowed to receive. You are worthy, not because you have to earn it, okay? So releasing that idea that love has to be earned, okay? That's a tough one, I think, that we all kind of have to work through as Divine Feminines, and just in general in life. And the combined energies, the bottom row, the first card out is the Hanged Man. This is the karmic cycle and the emotional pattern that is closing out with this healing portal today. And so this does signal that sacred pause energy, right? There is a deep karmic surrender taking place. I don't know why, but I always feel a little bit of Alice in Wonderland with this card. And so I do feel both twins do have to fully release victim consciousness, martyrdom, and any control dynamics, and the Chiron wound that keeps them in a cycle of stagnation, especially where we see sacrifice as a virtue. And so this is a call for deep reflection, because in order to move forward, we do have to fully surrender the old ways, right? The old frame. And so the Eight of Pentacles reversed. This, I feel, is the biggest block to the creative force between the twins. So there is this desire, I want to say, to get it right, to have perfection, and it's kind of stalling the progress. So perfectionism, procrastination. It's not even a word. Or I want to say like hyper-vigilance over the connection's evolution. That definitely slows things down. There could be a creative force waiting, but maybe you don't know how to allow the process to be imperfect. And imperfection is actually real. It is authentic. And so you don't need to work for love too, is another message they want me to bring forward. You just have to meet love where you're at, right? And so the overall energy for the twins is the Hierophant. And I feel this is a message on how to anchor in the healing of this connection in the physical. And so this is actually a very sacred grounding card coming through today. And so the twins are invited to commit to a new shared spiritual structure. And whether that's creating new relationship beliefs, daily rituals, or anchoring in that service mission together, because it is about mission work. This is Taurus energy at its highest embodied version of devotion. And so let love become your teacher, right? Because your soul truth is your new doctrine, is really the message. So let's talk about what's hidden on the bottom of the deck. The Four of Pentacles in reversed, the High Priestess, the Two of Swords in reversed. I love that these two cards came out in reverse because this is release, this is blocks removed, and then the Temperance card leading into the divine timing of the preparation of the Sagittarius full moon. Let go of the old story. Stop yourself from being held prisoner in this old story. Allow that emotional armor to melt away, because the twins are being intuitively guided right now. So if there is silence, if there is no communication, if there's ghosting, trust in the silence, because I do feel blocks are being removed and indecision is dissolving. And I do think a new truth is ready to emerge, and divine timing is definitely at play. So all of these energies are being harmonized in preparation for the full moon in Sagittarius tomorrow. There's going to be a very expansive release under the full moon. There's going to be illumination of purpose under the full moon. And there's going to be a very powerful moment of alchemy and communication, I feel, coming. And so right now it kind of feels like the divine masculine could be wrestling with a truth that he's been avoiding. It could be connected to his desires, stability, love. There could be fears of rejection being exposed. But I do feel the Mars in Leo is pushing him to own his fire. I do feel the divine masculine is working with his inner divine feminine as well. Divine feminine, I do feel you are releasing all of the old inherited patterns and structures and learning to trust yourself without guilt. Learning to trust that rest is okay so you don't go into burnout. And Chiron really is supporting this, I want to say, emotional resurrection in order to ground in energetic wholeness. And so together, both of the twins really are shifting from control, I want to say, to co-creation. But we do have to let all of the sacred pressure fall away. These transits really are pushing the twins to emerge into a new union, not based on fantasy, but based on the devotion of the divine design for the mission work, okay? So let's close it off with the guidance from the universe. I'm using the Healing Waters deck by Rebecca Campbell. And the card that came out was the card of the Mist. It does say, trust your inner compass. Oh, be led from within. And so you are being asked to let go of the need to see clearly in the external and instead really trust the sacred pause from within. We got to kind of walk through the mist. We got to walk through the fog and the path that oftentimes seems very unclear and very undefined, because Spirit will only show us the next step, right? If they showed you the whole mission at large, you'd probably run from the mission. And so this really is intentional soul alchemy, where the universe unveils layer by layer the true coordinates that you're here to take. And so there is an energy here where we are going into a new energetic frequency right now. And it's not about what others are doing. It's not about what others are saying. It's about what your soul is telling you to go towards, right? Because ultimately, you are your own North Star. So let yourself be moved by that deep inner knowing and not any external like permission, right? And then the bottom of the deck, immerse yourself. That's definitely connected to the 12th house Pisces energy with the transit today. It says training, learning, new hobbies, and passions. Dive in. Immerse yourself fully into anything that lights you up. What's going to expand your heart? What's going to activate your soul blueprint? If you're guided to study something or read a book or take a course, go dive into that, whether it's a new hobby, a training course, a mission project. Play with your own gifts. Play with them. I've explored so many different healing modalities. I have over 165 oracle and tarot decks. Play with your gifts. Say yes to opening up the gateway of your gifts, both for the divine masculine and feminine energies, right? Move out of being the observer. Move out of learning and step into teaching. Experiment with the embodiment of divine masculine and feminine energy. You don't need to wait for permission. You don't need to wait for the green light from anybody. You are the green light. Use your gifts to fall in love with your life again. Play is a very sacred act. Play. Use passion as your portal. Learn, explore, and let that fire really guide you, okay? Let that fire guide you, because right now we are in a very sacred initiation of training. And it's not just love. It is devotion to our inner compass, our inner guide, our inner soul. The sacred mission is our rebirth itself, right? And so we don't have to figure it all out. We are on a lifelong learning journey. We never stop learning. We never stop growing. And we're never going to have that perfect clarity on the path ahead, because we are the path. We have to create the path. We are the leaders of New Earth. And so we really just need to listen. We need to lean in, and we really need to take root to begin. And everything else will meet you where you're at. So trust the path. Even if you can't see it clearly, trust the path, because your inner compass, your intuition knows the way. And we're worthy of exploring passions. We're worthy of creating joy. We're worthy of a new beginning, even if it's not quite the way we want it to be. So allow yourself to be immersed in the now moment and lead yourself from within, because your healing is your art, right? And your love for self is this sacred revolution for the collective. So that's the message that I have today. If you would like to go further with a personal reading, a twin soul reading, some coaching, or some mentorship sessions, please feel free to check out my description box down below, or even the comment section. You will see links to my webpage down below. If you're not quite ready for a reading or some coaching, do feel free to check out the membership side of the program. I do give zodiac specific guidance every Thursday. I go through all 12 zodiac signs every Thursday with specific guidance. If you are interested in that, check out the membership side of the channel. I would love to see you over on the other side. I hope you have a wonderful day, everyone, and I do look forward to next time.